Hello, 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 everyone. Good evening.
We're ready to start. Are you ready?
I'm going to show you how to do it. We're going to wait on a couple people to get on.
And where is it going? Onto my Facebook page? I don't see it.
I don't either.
You want me to help?
Not yet, honey. Thank you. It says that we're live. It says there's one person.
There's one person. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Julie Avery says she can't find us. We're trying, Julie. We're trying.
yes. Okay. Let me see. It says that you're live.
It says there's 7 watching
Okay.
us.
All right. So I see it here.
Yeah.
Hey
Says there's
everyone, we're still trying to figure this out. Hi Susan, Clower, Vaughn. Okay, Julie, you found us. Awesome. We're going live on Moms Tonight. Okay, Jaylee, here you go. Hey everyone. Okay, delay, a little bit of delay. There's the comments. And when we ask you, Jaylee is helping us tonight.
She is our key grip.
Yes.
So, okay, here we go. I've got it going right here now. Okay, welcome everybody. It's so good to have you with us tonight. Let's see. Let me turn my volume down so I don't interact with my telephone. So good to have you guys with us tonight. I've overdone it a little bit today, so I'm a little tired. Y'all are going to have to keep me going. Did some yard work today, and it was fun. I've been pulling chickweed and henbit, and yeah, you don't even know what that is, do you?
No.
It's a weed. It's a weed. Some people eat chickweed. I don't know why. Some people eat dandelion, and they make tea out of it. Never done it. Don't plan to do it. But we've been working on it. And hey, Jason, good to have you watching us tonight. Good to see you.
Hi, Jason.
And hey, Susan, welcome. And Gay, I hope you're feeling better. Hey, Heather, good to have you. And Cheryl's here too. Good to have all you guys with us. For some reason, I'm not getting real-time comments.
That's because it's the delay in the internet.
Okay, all right. Well, I hope you guys are having a good day. You know, I told you last time that we were going to talk about what happens in the hallways at church. And then I got to thinking, it's not just the hallways that things happen. It's in the bathrooms. It's in the choir room. It's in the choir loft. It's in the sanctuary.
It's in the altar at church.
Oh, in the altars, yes.
I have a funny one for that one.
Okay.
But we can't tell, like, the real, like, the crazy stuff. We can tell some of the stuff, but we can't.
Yeah.
We can't tell, like, the crazy stuff on a
Yeah.
public platform. I think that's just like a one-on-one type of thing.
Yeah, probably so. Are you going to talk about the thing that happened with Perry Stone? Is that what
Oh, yeah. That was so funny, but I'll let you go first.
Oh my. Well, this week I posted something on my Facebook page and asked people to respond by saying what was the wildest thing that they ever saw happen in church. I don't know what the wildest thing is that I've ever had happen in church. I do know that there have been lots and lots of things because I was raised in church. My dad was a pastor, and there were always things that were happening. I remember one time this lady, her name was, well, I better not tell you her name, but she got excited and she kicked her shoe off and it almost hit my dad in the head. And then after I posted this on Facebook, there were a lot of people that started talking about the sermon your dad preached about throwing a shoe.
I love that one. Let me tell you.
Please tell us about it.
That was so funny. I think he, Dad got attacked up on stage. He wasn't expecting.
Hilarious.
He told everybody to bring a shoe.
Yeah.
And then
what was the point of the sermon, though?
The point of the sermon was when you're believing God for something, I think in Jewish culture and Jewish custom was to place your shoe on the thing that you wanted to claim.
It was like a sign of a covenant.
Yeah, sign of a covenant, something. I can't remember all the details. What I do remember is a ton of shoes being thrown at Dad. And
Not at him.
No, on the stage, on the
Yes,
platform.
yes.
And it was hilarious. We've got to find that.
Yeah, I think Pastor Tom is making, putting everything on digital. And once he gets that on digital, we'll start posting some sermons and stuff like that on Vimeo or YouTube or something. Yeah. And we'll get some of those. So there have been a lot of things that have happened through the years. I remember we were doing a Christmas program one year, and there was an alto that locked her knees. And if you've ever done any kind of public performance, or either in a choir or solo or speaking or whatever, you never lock your knees. And this girl locked her knees and passed out. But she didn't just pass out. She took out the entire alto section.
Oh where was
fell
this?
Out. This was in the old sanctuary.
Wow.
Yeah, here in Griffin. And
I don't remember that.
No, you were very young. That was probably the first or second year we were here.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm still
and
25 though.
I could call her name, but I won't.
Do I know her?
You do.
Oh.
You do. But so there's always been things. And somebody reminded me today of the year that we had the camel to come to church, and the camel dropped a load. And you actually have this on video.
I do have this on video.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. I think the most funny part of the whole thing was Dad's laugh.
Yeah.
And then Pastor Ron was standing with him, and he was laughing. But
Dr.
Pastor
Ron
was freaking out.
Yes.
He was like, oh no. And all of a sudden he just kept saying, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up.
He was trying to direct the wise men around the pile of poo-poo. And
yes.
so he's Dr. Ron was actually on the floor telling the people, come around this side. And of course, the pageant is going. We have these three wise men, and they're just, walking around and they have the pile of poop, and they have these 25-foot trains on their robes, their king robes. Mm-hmm. And then they finally get the camel to go over into the center of the sanctuary where he's supposed to be. And Christian Alberto was on the front row.
I remember this.
And the camel, if you've ever seen a camel gets down on his knees and then he rocks back to sit down. And when he rocked back, he almost sat on Christian. And Christian jumps up and runs to the third row because he didn't want to be sat on. Plus, the camel had just done something very special on the carpet.
Oh yeah.
And so he was a little scared, but it was funny. There was we were all just dying laughing, and it made it even better because you were recording it.
Yes.
So there were lots of
we were
things.
going to be millionaires off that video.
Did you
I
submit
submitted it? Yes, I submitted it to
Oh.
America's Funniest Home Videos, but cell phone quality, video quality wasn't great. It's come a long way. I think that was in. Was it 2016? And cell phone videos have come a long way since then.
I don't remember what
and
year
I
it was.
think one of the things that probably made it more funny is that we know these people,
Right.
And so, but I think that ended up having 20,000-30,000 views,
something like that.
It's
And
crazy.
if you don't know what video we're talking about, just watch around Christmas time because it always comes up in my memories, and I always repost it because it was so funny. Another thing that was not quite so funny, it was really embarrassing, and I posted this, and this happened during a wedding shower. We had a lady that, in another church that had, she was young, and she got pregnant before she got married, and so she and her boyfriend were getting married, and another lady in the church knew that she was pregnant. And she came to her wedding shower with a baby gift. And that was embarrassing, totally embarrassing.
My word.
Yeah,
Are you serious?
Yeah. And she didn't, she just thought it was, the girl's pregnant. She's going to have a baby, so I'll bring her a baby gift.
I can't even.
Yeah. So there are lots of things that happen.
I was probably innocent. That wasn't intentional.
No, it was not
but
intentional.
That was, my God.
It was just a mistake, and people make mistakes. And I guess that's where, we have to give them mercy.
Mercy.
And we're going to talk about
grace.
mercy tonight.
Yes.
So I was thinking about this, and one of the things that happens in the hallways, if you if you are ever in any kind of leadership capacity,
Yes.
there are always people that feel the need to verbally attack you. And
Well, I have one more
Yeah,
that I
tell
want to
us.
tell
Okay.
before you get into that one.
okay, tell me.
So this was probably 7 or 8 years ago when Pastor Evangelist Perry Stone
Oh yeah, okay.
used to come to the church. I have my little group of PK posses that grew up in the church, and we're actually always talking about this stuff as pastors' kids, talking about the crazy, the good, the bad, the ugly, and how to calm down so you don't get in trouble by your parents.
Yes.
But anyways, this was one classic for the books. I remember.
This was hilarious.
This was so funny. Excuse me.
And Perry does not even remember this.
He does not. He does
not remember.
I don't even know how he doesn't remember this.
I don't either.
But Perry, it was time for the altar call. Perry was giving the altar call. People were around him. He was laying hands on people. People were, coming to him and, hey, pray for me. And then all of a sudden, like, this lady just comes out of nowhere. Like, people are praying, worshiping, everything. Comes out of nowhere and straddles Perry Stone. Like, literally, one leg over the altar. Like, Perry Stone is behind the altar. One leg over the altar. She's bringing the other leg over so she goes to straddle him. And all of a sudden, he turns around and he says, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And he lifts his hands up and he's like, what's going on? And then security immediately take this woman away. But his face was hilarious.
He was mortified.
He was.
He was mortified.
He was
yes.
mortified. But I died laughing watching this. This was so funny.
Yeah,
so funny.
There's always things that happen. And it doesn't just happen in Pentecostal churches.
Oh, no.
It happens in any church. Anytime you have a gathering of people, there's opportunity for funny things to happen.
Yes.
There's also opportunity for really bad things to happen.
Yes.
One time, Randy and I had not been in Toccoa very long, and this is kind of getting into what we're going to talk about today or tonight. This lady comes up to me at church, and she looked me up and down, and she said, well, we must be paying our pastor really well.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
I remember this.
And
story.
I said, why do you say that? Because, we were making, okay, I'll just go ahead and tell you, we were making $175 a week.
This was back in
Period. This was
1984.
And that included everything. That was all Randy got every week, $175 a week. And we had to feed a baby. We had to take care of our housing. We had to, we rented a house, and the house was like $200 a month. And then we had to pay our electricity. We had to, pay for gas in the car. We had a car payment. There are a lot of things that we had to take care of. But this lady I looked at her and I said, well, why would you think that? And she said, well, every time you come to church, it looks like you're wearing a new dress and you've got on new shoes. And she said, I've been watching. And I said, well, actually, and it made me really mad. And I was not as refined then as I am now. And there are times that we have to question whether or not I'm refined at all. But anyway,
No.
I said, well, actually, my sister made this dress, and it was too small for her, so she gave it to me. And the shirt I've had for many, many, many years. And my shoes came from the Salvation Army. Do you want me to tell you where my underwear came from too? And this lady said, well, and she just walked away. And I had an opportunity to really be offended or to really let it go. And then we had not, I guess when we moved in the new sanctuary here in Griffin, this woman, I do not ever remember seeing her in my life, ever. She walked up to me, and it was in the hallway at the church, and she said, Jelly? And I said, yes, ma'am. She said, what have I ever done to you? I said, I don't know. I don't know. What are you referring to? And she says, well, every time you walk by me, you just turn the other way and act like I'm not even there, and you just totally and completely ignore me. And she said, you don't like me very much, do you? And I said, I'm sorry, I don't think I know you. What is your name? And I said, I would never purposely ignore you or purposely, just walk away from you. That's not what I do. And I said, I'm sorry you feel that way. But she was very offended. Well, I found out later that she was like in a high place of her bipolar, and that was what was going on with her. But there are always things that happen. Some of them are funny, some of them are not so funny. But there are always things that happen in churches.
It's funny sometimes to see like people, like when you have like these encounters with people in the hallways of the church or at an event, at a function. I mean, the church is supposed to be a place of healing, but man, it can be a shark fest too.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
really, really can, and sometimes you can see it. And I think that hurt people.
They do.
But growing up and seeing everything, I think one of the things that I always go back to what Pastor Scott says is, Jordan, the days are not all in.
Yeah.
And one of the things I remember, there was a situation that Dad and you and some other people were dealing with like 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago.
Right.
And I remember being at prayer with Dad on a Saturday night, and then Pastor Tom was there. I don't even know if he remembers this or not, but
He does.
He does? Oh, he does. I don't know. Well, this exact situation, but there had been like a huge confrontation and blow up between my father and someone in the church on a Saturday night in prayer. I mean, yeah, you can't make
prayer.
Yeah, in prayer.
prayer.
You can't make this stuff up. And then all of a sudden, my dad says, you, my office now. I was like, when he says that, oh. And so then I just remember I was like 12 years old thinking, freaking out. Like, I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And then Pastor Tom comes out. He had been praying. He had like tissues in his hand. And I just looked, and he was like, Jordan, did what just happened? And I told him, and he just began to weep. Like Pastor Tom did. He began to weep. And it was like, and he said, I just realized that they could understand what they're sowing into their lives. It wasn't like, oh, well, whatever your dad says, they deserve it or whatever. It was brokenness for what they were planting in their life.
Yes. And we do. We plant things in our lives, and there is always a harvest. Whether regardless of what you plant or what you intend to plant, there's always a harvest. I was actually talking to my mom, and I just this is not in my notes, but I'll give you this example about the harvest. A few years ago, when we first moved into the house we're living in now, about 20, I guess it's been about 22 years, 24 years we've been living in this house. My dad told me, you need to go and buy some silver maples. And they are fast growing, and they're great. And you also use a weeping cherry in your front yard. So I went and I found some silver maples and a weeping cherry, and I planted them. And I was real excited about it. Spring came, and my weeping cherry just bloomed. And if you don't know what a weeping cherry is, it looks like a weeping willow, but it has cherry blooms instead of white blooms. And I was so excited. And I just enjoyed that weeping cherry tree so much. And I would go out on the front porch and look at it, and it was just beautiful. Well, one day, all the blossoms had fallen off, and I was coming around in front of my house, and I looked at my tree, and the branches, there was something wrong with my tree, and I thought, oh no, there has been a bug or some kind of a parasite or something that's gotten on my tree, because I knew that weeping cherries are very, very sensitive to different things. So I was very upset, and I stopped the car and I ran toward my weeping cherry, thinking that there was something I could do. And I got to that weeping cherry, and there were peaches all over my weeping cherry.
I remember that.
In fact, it was not a weeping cherry. It was a peach tree. And so I had intended to plant a weeping cherry, and it was labeled weeping cherry. I thought I had planted a weeping cherry, But in all actuality, I had planted a peach tree. And that peach tree is still in my front yard. So regardless of what I intended to plant, I intended to plant that weeping cherry. I planted a peach tree, and that peach tree gave me peaches. It did not give me just simple cherry blossoms. And so back to what you reap and what you sow, you reap. That it did not matter what I intended to sow. The for me. And sometimes people do not realize what they're planting in their words and their actions. They plant those things, and as a result of what they're planting, that is what they're going to reap.
That's right. One of the things that I have had to learn has been mercy and justice. There's a huge difference between the two, and a lot of people think that justice is judgment, and it's not. But talking about what happens in the hallways of the church, there's two situations that happened to me that I will share. And I want to apologize if the video is buffering. I think that we forgot to take my mom's phone off of internet here at our office, and so it's buffering a little bit. I'm so sorry. But anyways, that being said, I just wanted to tell you guys the story of something that happened to me, and I had a decision whether or not I could be angry or whether or not I could forgive. But man, people in church can be so brutal, and I hope maybe somebody listening to this will grasp what's being said and think about what they say before they run their mouth. Excuse me. I just remember I had been going through a difficult situation. I had lived a prodigal lifestyle. I had come back home, and I was at the missions banquet. I was back in Bible college, and this man, the Bible college at our church, and this man came up to me. I think I was helping Miss Lita or Miss Jen take some decorations down off of the table. I was standing on the table, and this man comes up to me, and you guys are not going to believe this. He said to me, "Jordan, I think your table dancing days are over. You need to get down off that table."
Very painful.
I'm like, what the? I didn't say anything right then. I just looked at him, and I'm like, are you an idiot? Are you an idiot? I couldn't really say anything. I was so dumbfounded. I was so young. Like, okay, first of all, where is your mind as a man that you feel the need to say that to somebody? And number two, where is your mercy and grace in the tongue on your mouth? Okay.
That's right.
I mean, I'm proud of myself because I did not say a word. And then this was like 2 weeks later that this happened. I was walking into the doors of the church. Again, another man came up to me and said to me, I was getting ready to walk into the sanctuary. This man comes up to me and he says, "Jordan, looks like you got a second chance. Don't screw it up this time." I'm like, what?
Yeah. And we don't need people to remind us of our sin, do we?
No.
We don't need people to tell us what we've done wrong.
No.
We know. We know. We know when we have messed up.
Yes.
And the mercy of God is pretty amazing.
It is. And so, like, I guess just to piggyback and sort of tie it all in together, what you reap, you sow. And like a lot of these things like coincide together. When you talk about grace, you talk about mercy. But man, those two men that said that to me, their lives have been full of heartache.
Yes.
I mean, it has been disaster after disaster after disaster. And sometimes you just got to shut your trap and you've got to step back. And just like Pastor Scott says, the days are not all in. You have to wait for those days to roll in.
Right. And I want to clarify here. We don't take pleasure
in
in the heartache that comes to people. But sometimes people reap a harvest, and you're going to reap a harvest of your actions, and you're going to reap a harvest of your words. And that is why it is so important that we sow the correct harvest. We're not by any means saying that all because of what they said to Jordan,
right,
that this happened to them, but it's because of what was in their heart, that they had a problem. And so as we go further into this, a lot of times we have preconceived ideas about people, and we have ideas, and we have these thoughts that people are going to act and they're going to behave a certain way, or that what they've said is motivated by this. Let me give you an example. Okay, I've traveled a lot, and when I open my mouth, people know I'm from the South. Okay, they know it, no question. And a lot of preconceived ideas about Southerners is that Southerners are stupid. Southerners talk slow, and they think slow, they walk slow, so that means that they're mentally slow. Okay, preconceived ideas. And in the North, people have Northerners. They have different ideas. Southerners have ideas about Northerners, and Northerners are mean. Northerners are brisk. They don't have anything good to say about Southerners. And where are you from? Are you from below the Mason-Dixon line, or are you from above the Mason-Dixon line? So people have these preconceived ideas, and I've had preconceived ideas about people.
I have too.
I think we all have. We have these generalizations in our minds about people, and a lot of times it takes getting better acquainted with people and knowing where they are, both in their spiritual life and in their culture. When Randy found out he was half Iranian, boy, did we have to learn some things about the Iranian culture. And we have found some amazing things about the Iranian culture. And so we've had to integrate that into our lives. We just had one of our Iranian cousins to visit.
Yes, we love you, Corey.
Yeah, Corey, I don't know if you're watching or not tonight or not, but he's our California
rocket scientist,
yes,
government official, and we're so proud of him.
He's pretty amazing. But there a lot of people, we have these ideas, and I thought it was really interesting when I posted this thing on Facebook about what's the wildest thing you've ever seen in church. And there were a lot of people that started talking about Pentecostal churches. Well, I went to this Pentecostal church, and they were walking the back of the pews. It scared me to death, and I never went back. Well, you know what? I don't think I have ever walked the pews. I don't think I've ever done a helicopter dance, but I'm Pentecostal. And so, you can't have all of these ideas, these generalizations about people, these preconceived ideas it's important that we get to know people before we make judgments on who they are and what they are. So we all have. We've talked about, things that happen in the hallways at church and the church hurt. Do you think that everybody has church hurt?
I think that everybody has experienced church hurt. Now, whether people say, okay, do you have church hurt? I think that's really a difficult place to be if you say, oh, I have church hurt, because that means you're still holding on to it.
Yes.
And so, hey, have I been hurt in the church? Yes, absolutely. I have been hurt. It's been painful. It's been difficult. But what are you going to do with it?
Well, I'll just quit going to church when somebody hurts me.
Okay, so what are you going to do when you need help and you need prayer?
I'll call somebody on TV.
Are they going to be there for you when you need it? Are they going to come sit with you and hold your hand?
I hope they will, but I know they won't.
Yeah.
And that's what we face every day when we have people that have church hurt. They decide they're going to quit. They're just not going to go to church anymore. Do you know that there are hypocrites in every area of life? Every area. If you go to Walmart, you are going to pass a hypocrite. And I'm not talking about just spiritual hypocrites. There are hypocrites in every area. When our hearts are hurt, we cry for justice. We want justice.
That's good. When our hearts are hurt, we cry for justice.
Yes. And
because that's the pain.
It's the pain.
It's the pain of what we're going through.
I love to quote scripture, and one of the scriptures I used to quote all the time, and I kind of got called on the carpet for it, but the Bible does say, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord." Mm-hmm. And so I thought, okay, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to mete out vengeance. And then there's another verse that says, "I will repay." So I would put those two scriptures together, and I would say, okay, here I am. I've got church hurt, or I've got this person hurt me. I'm going to give them my vengeance, and I will receive justice that way. But that's not always the way it works. Mm-hmm. And so I cannot, by God's grace, I can't mete out my own measure of vengeance, because it's not mine to give. And so I, as a Christian, as a believer, as a leader, I have to allow the Lord to provide the justice. And that's not a fun place to be.
No, it's not. And what does justice look like? I mean, give me an example in like a situation where you've seen justice and what happened?
Ooh, let me think about this one. Well, justice by definition is fairness. It's fair play. It's something that is behavior or treatment that should happen. And we receive justice. I'll give you an example. And I'll try to be very brief with this, but last year, Reagan was mowing the grass. Mm-hmm. He broke the axle by accident. It was, there was weakness in the axle already. Axle broke. I posted on Facebook that I needed somebody to fix the axle. Long story short, this man, highly recommended, comes and he says, I'll take care of your lawnmower. And he picks it up. And 4 months later, I still don't have my lawnmower. And I had to swear out a warrant. And not that I wanted to, but I swore out a warrant. And had to eventually, the police went and, a lot of things happened. But as a result of what this man did, he was already a convicted felon, which I did not know. And he had to not only give me my mower back, but he also had to give me, and he didn't give me my mower back. He actually took the motor from my mower and put it into the body of another mower. And he actually had to give me everything back that he had paid me. So that was justice. As far as spiritual things are concerned, I had already decided that whatever happened was okay. I knew it was my lawnmower. I knew I wanted my lawnmower back. And I knew that this man had stolen from me. But I also knew that if I committed it to the Lord's hands, that the Lord would give me justice. And it might not look the way that I wanted it to look, but he gave me justice in this particular situation. What about you?
Well, I was just thinking about this today, and I won't go into the details of what the exact situation was, but I just remember being in this specific type of situation and crying out to the Lord for justice. God, give me justice in this situation. Give me what is rightfully mine. And then it was something that had been done that was wrong to me. Well, I'll just go ahead and say it. I'll just go ahead and, who cares? I'll just go ahead and say it. Okay, so this past year, it has been very, very difficult in the way of relationships. When you're my friend, I love you to the core. I mean, it's ride or die, baby. I just remember I had this situation where I was very close with this one female friend, and she had gone through a divorce, and so I was there for her through that. Mm-hmm. And then she had gotten remarried. I threw her bachelorette party. I did everything, and I shouldn't say I did everything, but then this past summer, I was like calling her. I was like, hey, I was just touching base, travel a lot, do a different, business things. And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And I remember getting some information from her family saying that her new husband, had accused me of trying to have an affair with him. Okay, and that is why she was not calling me back. She was not doing anything. Is that her husband accused me of having an affair with her, or trying to have an affair with her, and pursuing him. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And to this day, this woman has not called me back. I've called her multiple times. Her family will talk to me. Her family says, oh, Jordan, we know that's not true, blah, blah, blah. But it was so hurtful. In this situation, like, I'm a credentialed minister with the Assemblies of God. So let me just tell you this rampant thing that I went on. I'm like, oh, heck no. This guy is not going to get away from this. I am going to expose him. I will show my text message. So I got on the phone, and for 3 days, I called every single person that I could to clear my name. I called people in leadership at the state. I friended different people that he was supposedly doing ministry at this specific church. I called everybody trying to clear my name, and they're like, oh, well, we don't have him here. We don't have him there. And it was just chaotic. It was like, God, I want justice. This is wrong. This is wrong. And God has really had to teach me mercy in my life, because I am a justice person. What's right and right, and what's wrong is wrong. I am a justice person. And so this bothered me.
Right.
And this was all made aware to me because of a family member calling, and actually 3 or 4 of this person's family members calling me and making me aware of this.
Right.
Saying that I had to pursue this man. Okay, here's the flesh coming in. Okay, I don't care. I'm going to say it. Honey, I don't need to pursue you. I'm just thinking to myself, if you guys knew this guy's background and you saw him, this is where I'm getting mad right now just talking about it.
Let's move on. Let's talk about mercy.
Okay.
Let's talk about mercy.
Okay, so anyways, I called for 3 days trying to clear my name, because I'm like, my credentials could be taken for this.
Yes.
I cannot do this.
Yes.
So I'm like, Lord, and the Lord just said to me, Jordan, mercy triumphs over judgment.
Always.
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 Mercy triumphs over judgment. And during this whole time, okay, you guys, this is so unreal. This is where I believe like the enemy like sets you up for attack within 6 months. And then, okay, after that happened, I'm like, okay, whatever. And then like 6 months later, I was accused again of trying to have another affair with another man. I'm like, what? One of my really good friend's brothers. I'm like, are you serious? Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And so then there I go again. I'm calling. I'm like, hey, I hope you know that this is not real. This is not true. And so I had a decision I had to make. And that's hard, because when you're accused of something and your name is smeared in the mud, when you know it's not right, what's really hard is just stepping back and letting God hold your character and allowing God to hold your reputation.
Yes. And the very definition of mercy is this: it's compassion or forgiveness that's shown toward someone whom it is within one's power to punish or harm. That's what mercy is. And sometimes we have it in our power. We can harm this person. We can destroy relationships.
Yeah.
We can tell things that we know. But it's not up to us
Yeah.
to tell it. It's not up to us to bring the justice. It's up to us to show mercy. And that's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. But I think, humility plays into this as well, because
Yes.
I'm going through a completely different situation, and I'm like, God, I just pray that you will give me mercy for decisions that I've made that maybe have not been wise. God, I pray for mercy over me. God, I know
Yes,
justice.
and we do need to do that.
Yeah, and I
We
think
do need to pray for mercy.
it puts things into perspective, because it humbles you real quick. It humbles you really quick when you go through situations and you see, oh, wow, I messed up. And you're hoping and praying that other person
Yes.
isn't praying for justice. You're hoping
Yeah.
and praying that person's
Yeah.
praying for mercy.
Yeah, you're right. And mercy is very, very important for us to show toward other people, because we're back to that sowing and reaping. You sow mercy, what are you going to reap? You're going to reap mercy. You sow judgment and justice, you think that's what you have to have, that's what you're going to reap.
Yeah.
And so as we, we are never without 100%. We're never totally and completely fault free.
No.
We always have faults. We always have failures. But when do we get to the point that we say, okay, we've forgiven you, we've offered you mercy over and over and over again, but when do we say it's enough? I'm done. How do we get to that point? And how much is too much, or how much is enough? And I know I know that the word says this 70 times 7. We forgive somebody, but I'm brought back to this whole idea of forgiveness and restoration. We have mercy, we have justice, we give people mercy over and over and over again. We forgive them of the things that they've done against us, but how can we forgive somebody and knowing what they have done to us, bring them back into a close relationship with us? Randy used to preach messages, and he frequently said this, that forgiveness is an act and restoration is a place. And forgiveness is what I have to do. I have to forgive, but it is up to that person who has wronged me to restore the relationship. Hurt me once, shame on you. Hurt me twice, shame on me. That's not what the Word of God says. And we have to come to that place where we're willing to forgive, and we're willing, if we have truly forgiven somebody, then we will be willing to allow them to restore the relationship. And that's a hard place to get to. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a hard place to get to.
And I think too, when you're, it's different. Like justice and judgment are different, because when we look in Luke 18, we see that this woman, this widow, went before an unrighteous judge in Luke 18, and she went before and was so annoyed the judge, and just kept being persistent and persistent and persistent. And this judge was not a righteous judge, but because of her persistence and asking for mercy or asking for justice in her situation, the Lord granted the justice.
Yes.
And I think there's a huge difference. We are not called to bring about the justice.
That's right.
We go to the Lord. And when we're asking for justice, there's a huge difference that I think that we as a body of Christ need to look at. There's a huge difference between God bringing justice and God bringing judgment. God is not a God where he wants to just rain down his terror on people. Mercy triumphs over judgment. And when we get to the place, and even in our prayer times, when we are praying and we say, God, give me justice for this situation. Give me, God, be my defense, be my everything.
Yes.
When we are saying that, we are opening up the hands of God to not only move in our lives, but also to move in the lives of that other person.
Yes.
And that is what is paramount in every single situation. Justice and judgment are not the same thing.
No.
And I think that's what we as the body of Christ get confused with. We go to God and we ask God for judgment. We do not try to expose and bring judgment on anybody else by exposing.
Right. And God does bring justice. He is the one who brings the justice. And he's the one also who brings the judgment. He does judge sin, and he does provide justice for us, and he does offer us mercy for the things that we have done wrong in our lives. And it is up to us. The word tells us that the forgiveness with which we have been forgiven, we are to offer that to other people. And if we're back to this whole idea of forgiveness and restoration, yes, there have been people who have wronged me throughout my life. There have been people that have, I have cried, God, do something, make it right. Well, my first thought is, God, you take care of them. You strike them.
Oh yeah,
you take care of that.
Yeah,
I wanted to pray that, and then the Holy Spirit quickly arrests me and says, well, do you want to be struck dead too? Do you want a lightning bolt to come and take care of you? So I think our first reaction when somebody wrongs us is anger, and we want God to provide vengeance, and we want God to provide justice. But then we have to rethink this thing. Do we really want vengeance? Do we want to live a life of forgiveness?
Yeah.
Do we want God to possibly bring them into a place of restoration? Now, I'll go back to the first example that you gave when you were at church that night.
Which one?
And when
the table dancing?
No, not the table dancing. The one where Pastor Tom was weeping and sewing. Yes.
Oh, yes. I was going to reference that too. Yes.
So here we are. Now it's been 25 years later.
Oh wow,
And
even longer than what I thought.
Yeah, it's and for many years the relationship was broken
Between
the people who were in Randy's office,
yes,
and the
those
people who had
in our family,
in our family, the relationship was broken. But after a few years, the relationship started being repaired, restored, and we began to see some positive things happen. I saw part of the family at Christmas, hugged them and told them how much I loved them and missed them.
And there was, and you know what?
There's no animosity.
There's none whatsoever. We love them. I'd go have dinner with them. It was just a season in life. And actually, one of the family members got very deathly ill.
Yes.
And we prayed for this person, and it wasn't like, I can't even believe because that's how much God had done in our lives and in our hearts.
And see, but God had to do it first in our hearts before He could do it in the relationship.
Yeah.
And that's the way God works. That's how you know true forgiveness has really happened, when you are willing to restore the relationship. But now let me give you a biblical example. Okay, in Exodus chapter 14 all the way up through chapter 19, we see the story of Abraham and Lot. Abraham was an old man, and he and Lot began to have family issues. They had all their herds together. They were very wealthy, and so they began to have issues. Their people were fighting. The family was arguing with each other. There was a lot of confusion. So they decided, in order to keep peace, they were going to separate. Lot was going to go one way, and Abraham was going to go the other way. And sometimes in family relationships, that's what we have to do. We have to choose to go separate directions. You have to choose to love each other, but to go separate directions. And so that's what Lot did. Lot looked over the Jordan plains, and he said, I'm going to take this part right here. Abraham said, okay, I'll take the mountains. So Abraham goes to the mountains. Lot goes to the plains of Jordan, and ended up in Sodom and Gomorrah. And we all know how that story ended. Well, when Lot went into Sodom and Gomorrah, and his wife turned back and looked when God was destroying the cities, the twin cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, she turned to a pillar of salt. Lot lost he lost everything he had. What did he do? He goes back to Abraham, and he says, can we restore this relationship? And Abraham took him in, loved him, took care of the family, and did what he was supposed to do as a godly man. And sometimes that's what we have to do. Sometimes we do have to separate for a season, and then sometimes we are able to come back and join together when that family member or that person needs you, you're available.
Absolutely.
Just like you were talking about this relationship with this friend of yours that has been broken.
Oh,
one day she may need you.
It's been so devastating, and it's hurtful. It's hurtful even now because, I mean, the best way that I can describe it is, immediate obedience is so important. Like, you can see the train coming and you're trying to get the person off the track, but if they refuse to stay on the track, you're just going to have to help them pick up the pieces.
Yes.
And in a situation like this,
and you
sort
don't
of
go
where
to
I
him and say,
feel
well,
like
I
it
told
is.
you it was going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
You
No.
can't do that. That's not godly. That may be what you want to say, again, vengeance, but that's not what you're supposed to say. So here we are. We have justice that is given by God. We have forgiveness that is given by us after we have God to forgive us. Then he teaches us how to forgive. And then as a result of our forgiveness, we offer it to other people. And the possibility of restoration, maybe not immediately, but the possibility of restoration in a few years is what happens. So God is the one who determines how justice is given. He is the one who helps us to forgive. He is the one who helps us to facilitate restoration. Sometimes God gives us justice, but sometimes God just wants us to show mercy.
Absolutely.
And that's hard. That's hard sometimes when he wants us to give mercy and we want him to show justice. But that's what we are called to do as godly men and women of God. That's what he wants us to do. You decide. Pastor Ron preached a sermon this last Sunday, and it was absolutely amazing.
So good.
If you missed it, you need to go back onto the GFA website and you need to listen. But there were so many things he said, but one of the things that is so pivotal in this age is he said it is up to us to build a bridge, not a wall. And we have to learn how to build bridges to other people and not to build walls to keep other people out of our space. And if we can learn to do that, then we are going to be everything that God called us to be.
Amen. Well, I believe that that's so powerful. Build a bridge and not a wall. Right now, we have a little assistant with us. Jelly is going to be helping us look at the comments, and she's going to read us. She's been keeping track of some of the questions. So if you have any questions or you want to comment on anything, just go ahead and type that into the comment section. But Jelly, what was one of the questions that we had tonight?
Okay, so one person said, I have forgiven this person that wronged me. We were like sisters, but I can't allow her to be a part of my life. Is that wrong?
Okay, is it wrong? You have forgiven somebody. She was like your sister. Is it wrong for you not to allow her to be in your life? Wow, that's a good question. I went through that this summer too.
You've had a lot of life experience, haven't you, Joe?
Unfortunately. But I think that you have to protect yourself, and you can't allow yourself to be put into a compromising position to where you are going to put yourself at risk legally or emotionally. I think if this person is wanting a relationship with you again, and they want to be in a relationship with you and want to have that close proximity, I think you do. I think you take baby steps and you see. But people can be as close as you allow them to think that they are. And so you can allow somebody into your life and be there for them, but they don't have to necessarily know everything about you. But what they're wanting is they're really wanting your support. That's really what they want.
And you there comes a point in time, I think, that when you're allowing the person to be a part of your life and restoration is happening, Restoration also involves trust. And just because you are restoring the relationship doesn't mean that you need to give them 100% trust. Let's talk about marriage relationships here for a minute. Say you're in a marriage relationship and the person that you're married to has been unfaithful. Yes, you forgive them. If this is a choice that if you want to save the marriage, you must forgive. Period. And if you forgive, that means you cannot keep bringing it up time and time and time again.
You can't hold it as like a badge to make them do whatever you want to do.
That's right.
Want them to do. With them having no opinion.
Yeah. And so you do have to forgive if you want to save the marriage. That does not mean that you give them 100% trust all at one time. They have to rebuild that trust. One of the ways that Randy and I were always, we always made sure that we knew where the other person was. He knew that if I ever called, or if he ever called, the rule was we had to pick up. And he had to say, hey, I am at, Walmart. Not that he would ever go to Walmart, but, I'm still at the church. Or, I would say, hey, I'll be home in 10 minutes. I'm at the grocery store. We had to know where the other person was at all times. And that was a point of building trust. And if you have secrets from one another, you can't rebuild trust. And that's in a marriage relationship. That's
a whole nother.
That's a good one. Yeah. So in a friendship relationship, when a person has wronged you in a friendship, yes, if that person means anything to you, you forgive them. You allow them the opportunity to restore the relationship, but you don't have to give them all of the details of your life, and you don't have to give them all of the trust that you once had. That's just my opinion, and I think it's dangerous when we allow people to know everything about our lives when they've already broken trust with us.
Yeah,
and we have to allow them to bring a point of restoration if possible. So, any other questions?
Any other questions or comments, Jaylee, Kai?
No, there is not.
Okay. Wow. Well, this was some...
Oh, but there were some funny things that people said. Someone said that somebody said when you were talking about that guy, they said that means that he could have had a thing for you.
Well, he can keep having the thing because he's not getting anything here.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh, my.
Well, justice and mercy. Mercy always triumphs
Always.
over judgment. I think that's important to remember. Mercy always triumphs over judgment. And then also, justice is not judgment. And it's not up to us to bring the justice in someone's life. It's up for us to be faithful in going to the Father and asking Him for justice in our situation.
Yes. And He will bring justice in some way. It may not be the way we think it needs to be, but He will bring justice, and He will bring restoration if we allow it.
Yes.
So that's what mercy is all about, and that's what justice is all about.
That's right.
Not vengeance, forgiveness, restoration. Those are our buzzwords tonight. So thank you so much for being here. If you have any other questions, feel free. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about next week, but we'll figure it out.
Yes, we will figure it out. We're probably going to do it on Monday of next week. So we're trying to figure out. Please let us know what days work good for you and the time frame.
Yeah, that's what we're playing around with this.
Yeah, we're playing around with the times, playing around with the days just to see what works best for everyone. But before we head off, I just want us all to remember the people of the Ukraine.
Yes.
And in Russia, we have people on both sides that we know and we love. Mm-hmm. So please remember tonight just to intercede for those people, for those nations, and let's just believe God for a miracle. and for his hand to move. Pray for the messengers, that God will send messengers to those countries for protection and for peace. That's what we need to do. So I just wanted to sort of add that as well. But
now, and I hope you are remembering in prayer the Davis family. We talked about them last week, and continue to remember them in prayer. And there have been a lot of people that are really suffering heartache right now, from broken relationships and from the people in the Ukraine. We do have family that's over there still. From Randy's grandfather was Russian, and so they have people in the Ukraine. And we need to remember them in prayer and pray that God will bring light to them, and that they'll know the gospel of Jesus Christ. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining with us tonight. And if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to continue to add them when the night is over. Oh, and here's our little girl. Oh, she turns 12 on Saturday.
Yes, her birthday is on Saturday, everyone.
Yes.
Yeah. We have almost a 12-year-old. Can you believe it?
Hard to believe. Wow. So thank you again for being here, and continue to pray and intercede for the people that we've mentioned tonight. And thank you again. Thank you so much.
We love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.